Wow, wow, wow. Breaking news, man. Breaking news. If you haven't already heard it, Keith Thurman forced to withdraw out of the Tszyu fight on March 30th. Wow, what up, YouTube? Big T.O. Heavy Bad Boxing TV, man. Get your goofy ass in here and hit the bag, hit that like button for your boy. That helps the channel. You know, I appreciate that love. Shout out the gang, my bag hitters. Y'all know the count. Now, the anticipated March 30th date between Keith Thurman, who is actually headlining this thing, and WBO champion Tszyu, it appears is coming to a screeching halt, or at least for Keith Thurman. Now it's being reported, and I heard it first. Shout out to Boxing Voice. I actually heard it first from Ness. He was actually on his live when he got the call that came through to give him that news. So if anybody saying that they broke this news before the Boxing Voice, they're a lie. So shout out the Boxing Voice. You always want to give the people credit who actually get this news first and break this news first. But that call came through, and it was he got an opportunity to speak to Keith Thurman, who was highly upset that this news had gotten out. And it's very, very unfortunate for Keith Thurman. A lot of people felt that, given his experience and his boxing IQ, and especially his footwork, that he had a really good shot at Tszyu, and gaining some more notoriety and popularity, and keeping that Keith Thurman train going in this upcoming fight. Now, it's a few things I got to speak on while I got you guys in this video. First, I want to point out that I think for Keith Thurman, this was just probably from a lack of inactivity. And I know you guys are probably looking at that thumbnail and this picture I'm showing you here. This is an old bicep injury from Keith Thurman. I believe this came shortly after the Pacquiao fight, if I'm not mistaken, or it could have been prior. I'm not sure. I can't remember. That was a long time ago. But I think this had to do a lot with the inactivity, and then you're not training, physically training for long periods of time in the manner that he's training for this fight. And for a lot of fighters, when you're training at that professional level, if your body isn't quite used to it again, you run into these type of injuries, unfortunately for Keith Thurman. And this is something else that has, in my opinion, plagued the career of Keith Thurman over the time. There was these were some of the excuses for the inactivity prior to his most recent inactivity, when he was the unified champ, was him battling through different injuries. But I think for this particular one, had a lot to do with just not, body not being used to training, probably doing a little bit overtraining, trying to get prepared for someone as dangerous and as violent as a Tszyu. Second, I want to touch on the fact that this may have some big repercussions, because let's not forget that this is the actual debut of the PBC on Amazon Prime, right? They wanted to, have fireworks come out in this first card with Amazon Prime, and somebody who had been around and could sell a fight like a Keith Thurman managed to create a decent buzz around this fight with Tszyu, relatively unknown stateside, but has a huge Australian following for sure. And of course, the hardcore fans like myself, we've been paying attention to Tszyu for some time now. But you wanted to have that first card, your debut on Amazon Prime. You didn't want anything to go wrong with that. This had to go off without a hitch. And unfortunately, this happens to Keith Thurman, and he's forced to withdraw from this fight. So I don't know how that's going to affect the relationship moving forward with Amazon Prime and the PBC. is Keith Thurman being removed from this card automatically make this card a dud? You still have the likes of a Rolly Romero and a Pitbull and a Sebastian Fundora, who, mind you, shout out to Mike Coppinger, and he actually gave the Boxing Voice their credit too in his Twitter post. He posted this where he says, breaking, of course, Tszyu will now defend his WBO junior middleweight title versus Sebastian Fundora on March 30th in Las Vegas in the main event of PBC's inaugural pay-per-view on Prime Video. Sources told ESPN. Keith Thurman suffered a biceps injury in training and forced to withdraw, right? So, Sebastian, for the last thing I want to touch on while I got you guys is them bringing up Sebastian Fundora, who was actually on this undercard, and if I'm not mistaken, he was supposed to be on this undercard in a fight for the vacant WBC scrap. So it's going to be interesting to see who they allowed to fight his opponent. I can't think of who he was fighting at right now. I'm drawing a blank. I know, but I'm drawing a blank. To actually move up to the main event and fight Tszyu for his WBO scrap. So the Towering Inferno gets to tap on the shoulder. He's moving up to headline with Tszyu for this fight on March 30th. Man, just a lot of stuff here to unpack, and I know we'll continue to unpack some things from this in the days to come. But most definitely had to jump out here and let you guys know exactly what was going on. And I'm not even sure I like the fact that Fundora is getting tapped on the shoulder to come up. If I'm not mistaken, they could have been in talks with Bud Crawford. Now, this is just some reports I've heard. I'm not sure how true it is. They were in reports with Bud Crawford trying to negotiate a deal with him and Tszyu. But then Al intervenes, I guess, and it made more sense at the time to throw Keith Thurman in there to kind of get Keith Thurman out of the way. You got to remember, Keith Thurman's kind of been sitting on the sideline waiting for his opportunity. I always felt like his opportunity to stay at welterweight and go after the IBF champion and Jaron Ennis made more sense, but he's a money fighter. He's a headliner, and they felt like he could do a good job selling this fight, which, again, I think he did his best, and it is some buzz around this fight for March 30th. But I think they wanted to throw him in there for the money fight. Al could get him out of the way, pacify him for right now. But as far as Fundora being the next guy up, it seems as if they would at least contact Bud Crawford, see if he wants to take the fight short notice. We all know Bud is a gym rat. This is a huge opportunity to snag a belt at 54 for Bud. We all know Bud has his sights set on Canelo Alvarez. Not sure if that ever, come to fruition or will become a thing. But he's the logical choice for me to tap on the shoulder and say, hey, what's up? What do you want to do with this fight? And I'm pretty sure maybe they did. Maybe they did try and reach out to Bud, and maybe Bud just wasn't prepared at the time. But that made the most sense. Maybe even a Ennis, a Jaron Ennis. But when you think about it, it has to be a name to kind of carry this pay-per-view event. And Fundora definitely doesn't do that, right? I think Sebastian Fundora is still relatively unknown to the casual fans, and I don't think that they can keep the same selling price on this pay-per-view event. Now that Keith Thurman has withdrawn from this card, man, it's crazy. We're probably gonna have to do a live on this a little bit later, man. I might do one tonight. You know what I mean? Yeah, I might do one tonight. If you want to see a live on this tonight, let me know in the comments section if you want to rock out with your boy. All right, man, that's all I got for y'all on this one. Big T.O. Heavy Bag. I'm out of here. Peace. Oh, shit. Talk to him, Roger.
Most motherfuckers don't know shit about boxing.